Welcome to Al Jazeera. The battle for Syria's second city appears to be intensifying. Government forces have reportedly bombarded rebel-held areas by dropping barrels filled with explosives from helicopters. Activists say at least 22 people, many of them children, have been killed. A word of warning as our Sukri's report contains graphic images.
This is being described by activists as one of the worst days of the Syrian war in a long time. Opposition groups say Syrian forces used helicopters to drop barrel bombs onto at least 10 neighbourhoods in Aleppo. Volunteers are begging for help.
We have not rested since morning. More than 10 different areas in Aleppo came under heavy bombardment. They were shelled by both explosive barrels and missiles. And as you can see, this is the only equipment the civil defense team has. We don't have any other tools or equipment.
It's not the first time government forces have used barrel bombs. They're made of large cylinders or oil drums packed with explosives and rolled out of the back of helicopters. They may be aimed at rebel fighters, but as the pictures show, they're not terribly accurate. Children are among the victims in these attacks on eastern Aleppo. The victims of these assaults are also struggling through one of the fiercest winters people in the Middle East have seen in decades. Some international aid is starting to arrive, but it's unlikely to be enough for the millions forced from their homes. But right now, here in Aleppo, all these people want is some help to find any survivors. Azhar Sukri, Al Jazeera.
Well, joining me live from Washington is Andrew Tabler, a Syrian affairs analyst and a senior fellow at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. Andrew Tabler, how significant is this latest government attack on Aleppo? Reports that barrel bombs are being rolled out the back of helicopters, over 20 people killed. How significant is this attack?
Barrel bombs are nothing new, but they're being rolled out in Aleppo as the Assad regime is on the offensive. Shows us the degree to which the Assad regime will try and retake Aleppo, I think, and is pushing back against the rebel forces.
In terms of the overall military situation on the ground, it's Syria's second city. I mean, where does this now leave the battle for Aleppo? I mean, the rebels carried out a big offensive last year, but, I mean, who has the upper hand now?
Well, the city is divided. It's very difficult. The Assad regime has the troops to go on the offensive and to retake areas. The question is, did they have enough troops to hold them? And that's where they've actually fallen short. So this could go back and forth for some time, like it has in the rest of the country.
And of course, residents in the city remain caught up in the fighting. I mean, how are they coping with this renewed shelling and the onset of winter as well?
It's a terrible winter. The despair that such attacks cause in civilian populations are designed to put a lot of pressure on the armed militants which are inside of Aleppo and around it, and to weigh heavily on them. It's a ruthless strategy that Bashar al-Assad is using ahead of peace talks that are scheduled for next month in Montreux.
And it's interesting because these latest attacks come a day after the French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius expressed pessimism about the prospects for those peace talks planned next month in Switzerland. I mean, is there any hope in sight that this conflict will end anytime soon?
No, there isn't. And there isn't a sign, really, that the rebels would accept Bashar al-Assad as being part of a transitional government, or that Bashar al-Assad would accept stepping down. And that's, I think, indicates that this war will go on for the foreseeable future, and it will become a bloodier, more terrible mess than we've seen so far, which is hard to think about.
And just a final thought from you. I mean, how are we likely to see the military situation change on the ground as the diplomacy is ratcheted up?
Assad is desperate to go on the offensive and to take more territory. What he's able to hold is unclear. He wants to dictate from a position of strength. The only problem is I don't think that the rebels or their sponsors are going to really give up. So more death and destruction for the foreseeable future, I'm afraid.
All right, Andrew Tabler, thank you for talking to us.